We can turn that off, yeah.
Cool. Or just mute it.
No, I'm loving Teen Wolf Footloose. Teen Loose. Oh, God.
Oh. That's
Track
not,
that one back.
That's not what I'd...
Phrasing.
Don't watch that movie.
Footwolf. Nope. That one's bad, too.
Oh.
Can't combo those two things without it sounding weird.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of This Is My Bourbon Podcast, the official show of This Is My Bourbon Shop, where we talk about what makes bourbon the spirit of Kentucky. My name's Perry. Thank you all so much for joining us again. And with me are the home base co-hosts, Tanner and Curtis. What's up, guys?
Hello.
Living the life.
Yeah. Living life and hello.
What's up?
Good.
Hello.
Hi. Did you guys have a good Thanksgiving break, first and foremost?
I did.
For sure.
Ate a lot of food.
As everyone
It was
does.
a gluttonous
This is a
weekend.
riveting
Yeah.
retelling of your weekend.
Hey, how'd you
That
guys
sounds
cook
like you
your
had a
turkey?
terrible time. Yeah.
No, it was great. My mom
Well, first we
my
flame-
mom makes turkey salad, which is like chicken salad but with turkey.
Interesting.
Best thing ever.
Good stuff?
Yeah.
My mom makes homemade gravy, and it's literally just to die for.
Like you're dead now.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, after I was done eating, probably should have been.
Kurt's doing this podcast from the beyond. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
we've tapped into
Thank you for
Yeah,
the Stranger Things reference.
We've got some
the upside down.
strange technological advances that somehow they gave it to us. Like this bourbon podcast must go on, so we're gonna give you
This
this
five episodes deep. Well, now 6 episodes. with
this
this
groundbreaking tech.
So the time that this episode's going to be coming out is the day after what has famously been called Repeal Day,
Yay.
which was the
Yay.
day that Prohibition was repealed in the United States, December 5th. So in that spirit, later on, we're going to be reviewing we're going to be reviewing Old Forester 1920 Prohibition style, which we'll talk about more when the time comes. But until then, we are drinking on what, Kurt?
Henry McKenna, 10 year.
I caught him mid-text.
Do you guys? Fun fact. Do you guys know what amendments prohibition and repeal are?
I do not.
Prohibition was 18, which used to be the legal drinking age, and then repeal was 21, which is now the drinking age. Easy way to remember.
Sorry, the dog just looked like he saw a ghost or something. But
At least I
any-
think that's right. That was a common academic question, and I hope I didn't just spout absolute crap. But I'm pretty sure that's correct.
Again, as there are, in any podcast, there are people on the other end just screaming at us,
Googling.
going, "That's wrong,
Yeah.
that's wrong." But there's no way for us to look it up, so
That's true.
we're not going to look it up. So anyway, we're drinking on Henry McKenna 10-year bottle and bond, Heaven Hill product. It is a Heaven Hill product, right? Producer of the
so.
episode, Joey Conrad, in the room with us. Let's see. Kurt's brother.
Resident fact check.
Yeah,
Heaven
it is.
Hill.
It is Heaven Hill. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure before we had more people screaming at us and
Yeah.
emails and everything. But
Have we checked those Constitution amendments too? I think they're 18 and 21, but I don't know.
we're gonna have a segment at the end of what we got wrong.
Yeah, it's like around the horn.
Yeah, that's what I. Yeah, that's what I was.
Or no,
Go for it.
PTI.
Yeah, it's
But
Is it
but
PTI?
Tony Schiavone
But Tony from
Around the Horn
does that.
Does he still do
Yeah.
both of those shows?
No idea.
I don't know.
I haven't watched ESPN in years.
I stopped watching ESPN a long time
Listen to
ago.
part of my take sometimes.
Yeah.
But
So today we're going to be talking about some of our go-to bourbons. This is going to be a shorter episode as we've all been kind of busy and have other places to
Yeah.
to get to
it's crunch time right
today. But I think we're going to have some fun with it nonetheless. So we don't really have a cap or on numbers or criteria that we're really following here. Just kind of like what we drink more than anything, I guess. So I don't really have any other way to introduce it other than that. So
I think it's good.
guys, which one of y'all want to go first? And name whatever you want to. We'll talk about it. Real clever words there, I know.
Yeah.
But,
Talk about what you want, and we'll
Yeah.
talk about it.
So, and then we'll discuss some more. It's for
Well, as far as like, I just need a bourbon in my house. I love just regular Woodford. I'm a plain boy.
sure.
I think that
Plain boy.
Yeah, I think it's a solid middle ground of like, okay, I'm not gonna feel real bad if I put this in some L8. Like I'm not gonna feel awful if I mix with this, but also I can drink it straight. So Woodford is usually always in my house.
One of my go-tos is rare breed. We always get rare breed just because my brother and I we really like the more of the spicier higher proof bourbons, and it's one of our go-tos. It's just really good, really balanced.
Have you compared between the different proofs now that they've been changing? Because it used to
It
be
used to be like 112.
112 and now it's 116, I think.
Mhm.
Have you noticed any like particular change between the two of them?
Not really. I mean, I think it's been. I think it's about the same. There's no
Yeah.
extra spice. I don't think it tastes like it is rare breed from 115, from 112 to 115. I think it's about the same.
Sure. And the wild turkey flavor profile is pretty, similar across all of their products.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've heard that people haven't liked the 116 as much as the 112. I haven't really taken the time to experiment with both of them. But
I didn't see much of a difference. But what did they say about it?
that the 116 lost some of the flavor. That it added too
Maybe
much
because
heat.
of the higher proof.
Yeah. Not that it was too much more heat, but enough to kind of detract from the overall flavors that you get on it.
Okay.
But
That's interesting because I feel like an extra, 4% probably.
wouldn't make that much of a difference.
Much of a difference.
Yeah. But who's to say?
To each their own.
Yeah, I'm kidding. For me, it's just kind of an everyday sipper. We've talked about it before on the show. Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond, 6 year. Great for cocktails. Great for sipping neat or on the rocks. Great for pulling out and having people try something that they might not have had before. Again, it's a Kentucky only product, and it's really relatively easy to find in Central Kentucky, and I guess just Kentucky in general. And for $13, I can't, it's hard to argue
can't beat
against
that.
it.
Yeah.
I revisited our original flight that we did on the show, and not that I did a blind flight on my own or anything, but I was like, I'm just going to go back through and see how I feel about these tonight, and I cannot taste anything anymore in Very Old Barton other than bananas. No
Which
kidding.
is that what we said about it in the first place?
It might have been.
I think we might have said that it tasted like banana.
Hey,
It
at
had
least
some.
At least it's not tomato soup.
Yeah. I swear.
Again,
what-
screaming into the
Gosh.
ether something
Yeah.
that doesn't actually exist anymore on the show.
Oh, right? That's never been...
No, we haven't
that's
put that
never
on
been
yet.
said.
I've never.
Oh,
yeah.
God, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I
because-
thought I was just doing a
You've done
through line through the episode. Well, now I am, but now I'm just referencing... The through line is that it's never been referenced properly.
Yeah,
I love it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm just
So
going to
if-
keep it in
blurt
there. It
out
doesn't
tomato
matter.
soup now.
Eventually, we'll get to that review
Story,
of
yeah.
that particular
No, I love it.
drink.
I
But
hope so.
I'm just going
until
to say
then,
tomato soup with no context. Oh, man, tomato soup.
Tastes like tomato soup.
it's like the Kings of Comedy. Like that's your,
Yeah.
your catchphrase.
Yeah.
Tomato soup, man.
Man, tomato soup.
What a trash.
Like I'm an old jazz musician, and
We call this one tomato soup.
this one's tomato soup with cheese.
What a trash reference.
Love it. Love it.
Good stuff. So I guess kind of moving on up the list a little bit, special occasion kind of bourbons, or not necessarily like your everyday sippers, because we, said go to or like just to have around the house. But if you're feeling like you're splurging a little bit, what do you look for or enjoy? Well, I'll cut out some of the dead air here.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think sort of, if we're just talking about like I love Woodford and it's always in the house, but I don't always just drink Woodford. And one of you is gonna have to correct me if I'm wrong here. Is it Evans 1782? What is the number on that one?
1783.
Okay, close
Yeah.
enough. That is a bourbon I've taken to recently, because the price point is like $16, and it's great.
It's good stuff.
And
Yeah.
so that one is sort of, I guess I'd do the inverse of what you're doing, which is sort of talking about the lower price point now as opposed to the Woodford or the Bullets of the world.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoy that bourbon. It's smooth. It mixes really well, and you don't feel bad for mixing. But that one is like really cheap for how good it is, I think. So I was a big fan of that. Tried that recently.
Evan Williams is always one of those that kind of surprises me a little bit with how good it is. But I had this conversation recently with it doesn't matter, about some of the most divisive bourbons, and we're actually going to be talking about that on a future. Oh, it was with Chad and Sarah.
Okay.
Bourbon Night. I'm actually going to have them on here soon. I'm not going to spoil too much, but we're going to be talking about some more divisive bourbons. And one of the ones that I threw out was Evan Williams, because I've only ever found people who really like it or just can't stand it.
Yeah.
Like I've never really found anybody in the middle. Now that being said, Evan Williams isn't a go-to for me, but I do enjoy their products quite a bit.
A lot of people also look at Evan Williams and just don't buy it, even if they've never tried it.
Yeah,
So
it does look a little cheaper.
Yeah.
And again, going back to our design
Yeah.
conversation.
I
From
mean,
a
it
few
looks
weeks
like
ago.
it's trying to merge Jack and Jill.
I just know
Yeah,
I've talked
absolutely.
to
Which is
quite
why
a few
think
people.
it's a knockoff.
Yeah, I've talked to quite a few people who said, "Oh, I hate Evan Williams," and you're like, "Have you tried it?" And they're like, "No," but everyone tells me it's not like anything
Then
great.
that's ignorant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. But I know multiple people that have done that.
And there are so many people who are like, well, all bourbon tastes like Maker's Mark. And I don't like Maker's Mark, so therefore I don't like bourbon. Like
Right.
it's just a horrible way of going about that. And I think the same thing applies to Evan Williams. But
Sure.
to jump back on the train, yes, I do agree with you that 1783 is a really good.
Value bourbon, I guess.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, it's one of the better like under $25
Right, exactly.
bourbons out there.
And it's got a nice enough like sort of look and naming convention to it that you don't feel bad for pulling it out like at a party. Like it's not just regular Evan where it's got that stigma.
Yeah.
It's got like this number on it and it has a little bit more fanciness.
And to
It's not like you're bringing out Jim Beam White Label and saying
or like
special occasion.
or like KG, let's go.
Yeah, or KT. Yeah, ancient age.
Is there a difference between KT and KG? Like, I've never been able to tell a difference between the two. They've always
They're
tasted.
all pretty bad.
They're both terrible.
Yeah, I've
Don't
only
get
ever
me
had
wrong.
KG. I've
And
never
are
had
they
KT.
even like considered?
Bourbon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought there was some percentage of like they mix something. I thought maybe, but maybe not.
Episode producer?
Please look this up.
He's on Facebook, so.
Which, I mean, I totally could be wrong there. It's just a rumor that I've heard that like
Yeah.
it really isn't. But that also might be because it tastes so bad.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
Just bringing down the name value of bourbon.
Yeah.
we'll come back around to that part of the conversation in just a minute.
Yeah.
But again, to like take the 1783 another step, Evan Williams single barrel is also really, really good. And again, it's another one kind of like the Henry McKenna that's a sub $30 bourbon. It's still age stated. I can't remember the exact proof on the Evan Williams single barrel. But I mean, it's another one that's really hard to find a competitor for because of the price, because of the age stated part of it and everything.
Sure.
But anyway, Kurt, what's one of the things that you kind of
Special occasion one?
yeah, and maybe I'm not phrasing this the best way, but like
You're having guests who like bourbon.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, "Oh, this is what I enjoy, I want you to try this too," even if they've had it before.
Mine would be Four Roses small batch.
Good choice.
Yeah, Four Roses small batch is just, it's really smooth. It has a great profile. really enjoy Four Roses in general anyway.
Sure.
Yeah, regular Four Roses is great.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
The
having
yellow
that,
label?
Yeah.
Yeah.
having the small batch is just really good as well.
I want to clarify too, real quick. I wasn't like saying, "Are you talking about the yellow label?" Like
Oh,
I was
sure.
just trying to clarify so that I,
Oh yeah,
knew what you
I
were
use
talking about.
terrible naming conventions. I
No,
said
it's all-
regular, so
it's all good. No,
it's
no, no.
totally cool. Yeah, thanks for
The
clarification.
standard.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I do like the small batch
Yeah.
quite a bit.
I want to shout out a
And it's-
bourbon. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and it's
Thought you
something that not a lot of people have tried.
Mhm.
I mean, for somebody that really knows bourbon, they'd have, but
Yeah.
special occasion, you have friends over, and it's just like all of a sudden, having the Four Roses small batch is really good,
Right.
and it's usually something that somebody hasn't had, and it's just a good.
Remind me to pour a little bit. I've got a half a sample bottle of this year's Four Roses limited edition small batch.
Okay.
That's really, really good. Next time we're back in my place. But
Yeah.
anyway, you were going to give it a shout out there, Tanner.
Yeah, I was gonna give a shout out to a bourbon that we shout out a lot, but Kurt initially turned me on to, which is 1792.
I was surprised that you guys haven't taled about
yeah,
1792 yet.
It's
Well,
great. It's
I think I didn't bring it up because I wanted to kind of avoid the whole me bringing it up every time.
sure. Well, no, and I was gonna say like for the friend who likes bourbon, I mean, you pulled that out. I forget when, but like that initial hey, I like this, try this, was enough to spur me on to that's one of my favorite bourbons now.
And that stuck around for you, too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love 1792.
For the sake of the podcast, I just didn't want to be like
The
it to get stale.
1792
Like,
guy?
hey, 1792.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
sure. And I get that, too. But, like, I mean,
You like what you like.
yeah, exactly. And I think that's one of the the interesting interesting parts of the three of us coming together and talking about what we like and don't like and everything. As far as for me splurging a little bit or having something special to let people try when they come over, I know I said Henry McKenna Heaven Hill 6-year bottle and bond is one of those things that I'm like, hey, you're not going to believe this, but Henry McKenna 10 years is one of those too that I like to spring on people because they don't expect 100 proof bourbon at 10 years to be the price that it is or for it to be as good. People always kind of go a little bit crazy over Weller. If you have it. Bye, Joey.
And we have no producer.
And
Now,
the producer's
no.
gone, and everything's out the
The
window.
facts are wild.
Shooting from the hip now.
People kind of go crazy over Weller if you have it. Kind of all across the board. The Special Reserve, the Antique, and the 12-year. Which, again, we've talked about this before. It's crazy that people go as nuts over it as they do just because, it's always going to be about a $20 bourbon unless... But anyway.
Right.
At this day and age, it's fun to pull Weller out and see people's faces when...
Oh, you have Weller?
when you do so.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think on the flip side of this, what is something that you guys don't kind of refuse to buy? And I mean, we already talked about KG and KT.
Right, of course. So
And again, all
got
power,
those softballs out there.
all power to the people that do that. But
Refuse to buy. That's an interesting one.
or won't be a go-to for you.
Sure. I don't dislike Knob Creek,
Interesting.
but I've had Knob Creek once, and I've never been like, I need a second bottle of Knob Creek. I don't know if I like
The small batch or the single barrel?
small batch.
Okay.
Because I don't know if it was just so that was like the first bottle of bourbon that I remember having like in my own apartment, and like this is I'm gonna get into
Sure.
bourbon now. So I don't know if it was just like I had my fill of Knob Creek and like so know what that is that I just don't want it anymore. Like I would never refuse a bottle of Knob Creek. Like it's not not that I don't like it, but I just never for some reason am attracted to it on shelves anymore.
I mean, I would definitely encourage you to go back to it and try it
probably
again,
should.
just because it's. I think that it's really good, especially for its proof and price and everything
Okay.
too. And I think
Maybe I
that I think the single barrel actually exceeds the quality of the small batch, which is not something that I normally feel about small batch versus single barrel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you should
Yeah, I'll go back. I'll
give it another
revisit it.
shot. But
I don't know. I don't know if it's just a mental thing or just like, oh, this is the first bourbon I had. It's like the beginner bourbon
I
in
get
my
that.
head. You know what I mean?
I get that.
I'll get another one too. Sorry.
Mine.
No, we'll come back to you.
Yeah.
I think so. It's funny because I say my go-to bourbon is Wild Turkey Rare Breed. One that I stray away from is Wild Turkey 101 though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why's that?
I'm not saying it's bad. I do like it, but I think if I'm gonna get a bourbon, I don't want the Wild Turkey 101. I just don't think it has as many flavors or different profile as like the Rare Breed
Yeah, sure.
has, or the outlier tasting notes. I want to go to something different. I think.
Yeah.
Whether that be like single barrel or something like that.
Yeah.
But Wild Turkey 101, I'm never drawn to it.
Again, we've talked about the packaging on it before being one of those things that kind of deters us from buying it. But yeah, I can see that, like the flavors and everything being a problem with that. But I will say, having had Wild Turkey 101 quite a lot recently, it has really grown on me.
Has it?
And this is really funny. Like both things that y'all said, I've been like, you should probably revisit this.
The advocate for all bourbons.
Yeah,
And I also will say that it's been a while since I've had 101.
Been a while.
Yeah.
Hence why I haven't went to it.
Guys, remember that jam?
was that Creed?
No, it was Stained
Oh, that's right.
with no E in it.
Yeah,
Staind.
The 90s were a weird,
Spelling
crazy time.
No one knew how to spell, and all the letters were backwards.
Anyway, so Turkey 101. for you.
Yeah.
Tanner, you said you had another one.
Yeah,
too.
Makers.
Makers was actually on my list, but I'll get to why it was here in a second.
I just like. I enjoy Makers 46. 46 is great.
Mhm.
But standard Makers, I think for the price point is too high for what it is. And
At like $25, $26.
yeah, I just don't. I don't know. I just don't enjoy the flavor of Makers as much as I do other
Is it
bourbons.
25 and 26?
Mm-hmm.
That's a yeah. I agree with that. That's a little high. 'Cause
Other
you can
bourbons
get-
at that price
you
point,
can
I
get,
like
like,
a lot more.
Yeah.
$17.92 for 28.
Yeah.
Well, you can also
29.
if you're staying in the realm of weeded bourbons, you can get Larceny for 24.
Yeah, exactly.
exactly.
And I mean, I personally like Larceny better than I do
Yeah.
Maker's Mark. I'm gonna get on the
Absolutely.
mic a little bit more than.
I'm just not a huge
Like,
fan
hang out
of
over here.
Maker's flavor profile.
Yeah.
Especially at that price.
Like I said, Makers is on my list, but the reason that Makers is on the list for me is because if I really want Makers, my dad has it, and whenever I'm over at my folks' house, if I'm really just craving Makers, I get my fill of it.
Right.
That being said, I do kind of like to have a smaller bottle of it hanging around just in case I'm in the mood or something. And Makers has actually grown on me quite a bit. But I do get that I'm not clamoring to go out and buy a bottle of it. And then the other two for me, the first one is Benchmark,
Okay.
Yeah.
which I think is just it's not good.
Never had it.
It's a Buffalo Trace product. I think that it's just aged at about 2 years.
Oh, okay. It's a baby bourbon.
It's 80 proof, I want to say. Again, we don't have our producer here
Fact
for the
checker, yeah.
anymore, so don't yell at me too much. Don't email me.
Don't at me.
Don't at me is right. Benchmark gives me a headache as soon as I drink it.
Interesting.
So we kind of keep it around the house. I still have about half a bottle of it left at our house, but we keep it around like if we need bourbon flavoring and cooking,
Okay.
or baking or something like
Yeah,
that. And then the other one, Town Branch.
Really?
I do not like Town Branch at all.
Interesting.
I think it's overpriced, especially at an 80 proof bourbon.
How much is Tom Branch?
35 or 36.
Okay, I've never bought a bottle.
Yeah,
I've had it, but
I mean
I've never,
it's
bought a bottle.
it's a little high in price for, and I don't think that I don't think that the quality overall is really that good.
Mm-mm.
I also wouldn't. I don't think I'd ever buy a bottle of Angel's Envy, either. Like the actual Angel's Envy.
Yeah.
I had it the other day, and all I got on it was like the flavor of circus peanuts.
Oh wow, that's
Uh,
very specific.
And it made me. I really had to struggle to finish the glass because I'm a firm believer in don't pour it down the drain.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
But if it's around and people are like, "Hey, you want a glass of Angel's Envy?" I'll be like, "Yeah, all right."
Sure.
Yeah, I'll have some.
But I'm definitely not going to be shelling out $60 for it.
Right.
And what's the percentage like recipe on that? Do you know? Just
I don't know.
curious.
I don't even know if they've disclosed their mash bill.
Their mash bill.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at it. I'm really interested though, and I was on the Angel's Envy tour. We talked about this last home base episode. We went to the Angel's Envy distillery, and what I was really hoping for, like when they were doing the tasting, was that they were going to let you compare between the bourbon that was unfinished and the finished bourbon. I mean, I really was holding out hope for it, and all they gave you was the finished one. And I was like, well, I've had this before. I know what it is.
Yeah.
but
Thanks for
like-
giving me a tasting of just the one that I've had.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm just really interested in what that product is like unfinished, and if it, is not that good.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're kind of like, crap. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
They're like struggling to figure out what they're gonna do with it because it wasn't that good. But anyway, no, I would never shell out $60
Yeah.
I agree with that.
for Angel's Envy. But such is life. And then I guess on the higher end, is there anything that you would, every once in a while you're like, oh, I could spend $50 or $60 on that. Tanner being the one out of the three of us who doesn't buy bourbon that much.
Yeah, I don't know. I keep probably 2 to 3 bottles in my apartment at once, which I know is not a lot to most people. But I don't know
We'll
if I
talk
would.
about that off air.
Yeah, I don't know if I would ever. I don't know. I don't know if I ever want an expensive bourbon that bad. If I don't, that itch couldn't be scratched by something at the $30 level. I don't know if I've ever been like,
Interesting.
other than at a bar or like at a smaller scale. I don't know if I'd ever buy a bottle at 60. I've not yet. That's not to say I won't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Blanton's would be mine. Blanton's is like every once in a while for me. It's up in the higher price range, and
Yeah.
There's some days when I'm just like, man, I need some Blantons.
Yeah.
I needs the blend.
I need
No,
the
I get that.
Blantons.
I get that.
And
Blends is really good.
and so I'll go get that. And,
Have you had the store pick of Blanton's that I got from Liquor Barn yet?
I don't think so. I haven't had it. No.
Again, we'll put that on the list of things that you need to try next
Try,
time you're
yeah.
over. But yeah, store pick of that was really pretty good.
Mm.
Yeah, Blanton's is definitely up there for me. Old Forester 1920, which we'll be talking about more here in just a bit. And then Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, which I last week's episode because
Sure.
Yeah.
was me reviewing that with the podcast guys. And I'm a big fan of Elijah Craig kind of in general, and if I can get it at that barrel proof, I'm all about it. I mean, I paid like $65 for the bottle that I have. If I can find E.H. Taylor, which usually runs for about $35 to $45, I like to pick that up. Weller 12, of course. But, don't pay $60 for Weller 12. It's a $30 bourbon at the most. But anyway, yeah. So I think
Have
that
you
about
tried the I.W. Harper? What year is it?
the 15 year?
Yeah, the
I've not
15
heard
year.
good things about it.
No,
I've not had it either.
Yeah, I haven't had it either, but it's one that I've always looked at, and
I've not heard good things about it.
Yeah.
So
I just was curious.
I've not. Every time that I see it, I'm like,
Because I've had
There's other stuff that I'd
IW
rather.
Harper, just their regular one.
yeah. What do you think about it?
I thought it was good. It was a bourbon that I could definitely could drink down real quick. That was the problem. Like it was pretty sweet and smooth and no burn. There was no burn at all.
Interesting.
But I thought it was good, but it could be dangerous.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'll have to give it a shot and see what I think about it.
I definitely think the price point's probably too high on it.
I agree.
But I thought I enjoyed it. I'd say if it was $18, definitely would.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that about wraps up the. This is one of the shortest conversations we've had on the show so far.
Yeah.
Are we at what, like 15 minutes?
Yeah.
No, I mean we're at 30.
Oh, okay.
But still.
Oh,
like,
wow. How?
Well, yeah, but
How
like you know,
short?
the first episode was like 35. The second one was like an hour and change.
Sure.
And then the one after that, when all three
was
of us
like
were
2
together, it was
hours.
like hour and a half, hour 45 or something like that. But
Yeah.
We're getting better at brevity, I guess.
But at the same time, I like kind of being able to chat and
Sure.
go on.
Wax poetic.
Yeah. So now that we have wrapped up our topic for the evening or day, I keep doing that. Like I don't know what time you're listening to us. We are going to slide into the review portion of the episode. Don't give me that look. I meant what I said.
Slide. The operative word, I guess.
So as I said, this episode is coming out the day after Repeal Day, which was when Prohibition was repealed back in the... What year was it repealed?
20.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
Wait. Maybe not. 20
That's what I was thinking. I didn't
20 was women's suffrage. That's what that date was.
I'm glad you mixed those two up.
I saw 1920. I was like, oh, that's a historical
Free
date.
for everybody.
We're talking
Women-
about historical
women
events.
can vote and we can drink again.
And we can drink again. Hey.
When was it repealed? I don't know.
It doesn't matter. Anyway, so Old Forester 1920 Prohibition style. It is part of the Old Forester Whiskey Rose series, which includes like 1897 and I don't know 1900 or something like that. I can't remember for sure. It doesn't matter. This one's bottled at 115 proof, and the label reads. I'm not going to do that. I'm just kidding.
It's a glass bottle?
It's a lot of fanciful crap that distilleries like to put on. Such
And here's
as,
our story.
Can we
Yeah,
just get a
exactly.
bourbon? Can we just get a bourbon that's like, this tastes good? That's the entire description.
we like it. You will too. I
Yeah.
guess. It's
Try
up
this.
to you.
We worked really hard for this.
Yeah.
Buy our alcohol.
I really like this bourbon. I have of course had it before. I'm holding up a bottle that is just about enough for us to pour out to finish.
Yeah,
and,
just enough.
yeah. So we'll pour a little bit real quick, and I'll be back in a second. I guess.
You guess. You guess. I don't really know.
And the podcast never returned.
Yeah. What if I just ended it there?
We'll be back, I guess. And then there's just this like pregnant pause
Yeah.
for like a minute. Like just leave it silent for a
We
minute.
should, yeah.
And people check and see if it's paused or not in the podcast app.
They're like, what in the world? It's it's pretty much like an episode of Family Guy.
Yeah.
You know how they just have those random like, and this is how this worked.
Yeah. You giving me the pregnant pause?
And we're back.
Yeah.
And we just killed the bottle. So,
R.I.P. bottle.
well, such as
Good to
life.
me.
Yeah. So as we have established before, we have our rating system of nose, finish. Wait, no.
Nose,
Hold
palate,
on.
finish.
I can't even get it right. Nose, palate, finish, and price.
Eyes, ears, mouth, and nose.
Ear, nose, and throat doctor.
No.
All 4 categories are out of 5. So at the end of it, we will tally it up. What do you guys think about the nose so far?
That's oddly pleasant.
It's nice, isn't it?
It's very
Caramely is what I'm getting.
If
Lot
you
of
were to
caramel.
make a candle that smelled like bourbon, it would smell like this.
Didn't you say that last episode too?
No, I don't think
No,
so.
he didn't.
I mean, it sounds like something I would say, so maybe.
I think you
Yeah.
might have said that at some point, but
Sure.
I don't know.
I definitely would want a
somebody said
candle
it
of it.
recently. Oh yeah, for sure.
It's not too strong, not
Get
too
a lot of vanilla.
not too faint, not too subtle.
Yeah, it's got a lot of the real classic bourbon notes
Yeah.
that you expect, caramel, vanilla. There's a little bit of heat on it for me, not a whole lot, but I also get some kind of like floral notes with it too, which I think is where some of the sweetness comes from.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah, the heat's coming from the 115
I think so
proof,
too. yeah.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll do it.
Have you guys had this one before?
I've not.
I'm not.
Okay, so I'm interested to see what you guys think on first sip. So, cheers, y'all.
Cheers. That was a good sound.
Mm-hmm. Tanner really has to think about this one.
I always do this.
Yes, I feel like this is more so than normal, though.
Palate wise, I'm getting the same notes as I did on the nose. It's very pleasant, really good. But then towards the middle, you kind of get that heat.
Mm-hmm.
It's at first you don't get
Definitely.
it. You get the flavors and the caramel and the vanilla initially right at the front, and then right as the middle happens, it kind of explodes
Yep.
into this. Hey, here I am. But it's not. It's just a warming effect, not a overpowering.
What I was going to say is I wish it were colder outside for this bourbon. This feels very... It's 40 degrees,
winter.
30 degrees, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because it is very warming. I'm like, my chest is still warm from the sip I took.
That good Kentucky hug.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with Curtis. I got more flavor at the front, heat at the back. And that's basically my entire experience with it.
Just took me a while to get there.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think the very front end of it might be a little dull. Middle two definitely is where I get most of the flavor and the heat.
Yeah.
Finish overall, like I'm just not super crazy about it.
Yeah.
Well, it was funny because we didn't even mention the finish, and I
Yeah.
think that's probably a byproduct of what it was that too.
Yeah.
Because now that you say it, I'm sitting here going,
There's not a whole. Yeah.
There's not really a
It's almost a little bitter.
finish.
You know,
Finish.
I would. We might be wise to at some point revisit this with a fresh bottle, because like I said, this is of course been open for a little while. Now as far as price goes, this is $55 to $60 bourbon. So as we launch into the numerating part, how do you guys feel?
Are we going now, or?
I'm starting to like the front end a lot better though.
Yeah.
Yeah. The more I sip it, the more I'm getting more of those flavors.
Kurt's got more in his glass than any of us do, but it's his house, so.
But true.
Yeah,
But the finish, I'm still feeling the same way.
fair enough. So do you want to go ahead and go on your ranking there, Kurt?
Yeah, sure. The nose, I'm definitely gonna give it a 4. Actually, I'm gonna go with 3.5. I think it's a 3.5. I thought it was.
Let's round it up to 4.
4?
Yeah.
I think we said
No more 100-point scales or 10-point scales. I
yeah,
guess.
because I think with the half points, it makes it a little too much math.
Okay.
So
I thought the half points kind of made sense, but
I mean, we can do 20-point. That's fine.
yeah, I think just half.
do you want to do half points?
I think half points work.
All right, whatever.
Because
I
that's
guess
not
that
like
would
too
just
much.
be a
I don't-
10-point scale. Sorry.
I don't care. I'm easy.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3.5. It's a good nose. It's what you expect. It's not gonna wow you. It's not gonna do anything.
Right.
But you're still gonna be like, oh, that's really good. I enjoy that smell. I enjoy the vanilla and the caramel. So nose 3.5. Let's go to palate. Palate, I'm gonna give it a 4. 4 because you get after a while you get to get that those notes and they taste really good and it starts to be even better than the nose. So I'm gonna give that a 4. And I also like the explosion of heat towards the middle. You're like, oh, I like that. Finish, I'm gonna give. Oh wait, yeah. Finish,
Yep.
I'm gonna give it a 3. I'm pushing 2.5 too. But I'll give it a 3. There's just nothing there. There's nothing exciting.
Yeah.
Then give it a 2. You don't have to be kind to it. It's a review.
I'll give it a 2.
All right.
I'll give
Yeah.
it a 2 then. There's just nothing exciting about it.
Yeah.
And then price, I would probably give it a 3. I don't think it's deserves the $55, right?
12.5.
12.5. Okay.
I've been adding as he goes.
I don't think it deserves the $55.
Yeah.
I'd put it at around a $40, and I would buy it. Overall, I enjoyed it. I don't think it's anything like I don't dislike it.
Sure.
But when I'm choosing between a bourbon, I'm probably not going to choose that one.
Yeah. Fair enough. So you sit at a 12.5 out of 20.
I think that's my lowest score.
I think so too. I think this is going to be the lowest score for the three of us so
Yeah.
far. Yeah, Tanner's like, oh,
It's
I got
my
something
least-
up my sleeve for
yeah.
you.
Your boy's about to go real critical.
It's
All
my
right.
it's my least favorite of what we've had
I agree, and I would suggest
and
again,
what we've
that-
reviewed.
Yeah, I would again suggest that we come back to this in the future. But anyway, Tanner, lay it on us.
Sure.
Why did I say that?
I don't know. I'm gonna give the nose. So here's the thing. I enjoy, got the.
You
got
see, here's the thing, guys.
now. Was that Andy Rudy? Who was that?
I don't know what that was. Very
Nose is a
likely, though.
4. It was a very pleasant bourbony smell. Spoiler alert, that's gonna be the highest score it's gonna get from me in any category. Palate,
Couldn't have guessed that one.
yeah. Palate, I'm gonna give. God, since you've introduced the halves, it's thrown me off. Palate, I'm gonna give a 3. It was fine. If it were just that, I'm gonna say that it would be a more pleasant experience for me. Finish. Wait, actually, you know what? Hold on. Palate, I'm gonna give a 2 because I'm factoring in the
This
front.
is tearing you up, isn't it?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's an internal struggle of Odyssean level. No, yeah, I'm gonna give Palate a 2 because the beginning, the front was really good, and then the middle was just a lot of heat, and I'm not into bourbon just for the heat.
Yeah.
And then the finish, I'm also gonna give a 2 because it was lackluster at best. And then price, I'm also gonna give a 2. I think that, as Curtis said, I would not buy this bourbon at $60, and ultimately that's what I think about it. So that puts me at a 10. Out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Solid 50% there.
Yeah.
So we got 12.5, 50, or 50. You got a 50 out of 20.
Wow.
12.5 and 10.
The greatest bourbon of all time.
Nose, I'm definitely going to agree with you on a 4. It really has everything that I like in a nose. As far as
Sorry, that sentence is just so bizarre.
it's everything I like in a nose. It's not too wide. It's not too small.
It's balanced.
It's it's symmetrical. I'm just kidding.
Not too bulbous.
Yeah, it's just right.
When do you ever hear the word bulbous used outside of noses? Onions?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have a real world experience with the word bulbous,
Other than noses.
other than noses.
Anyway,
Huh. Well, I'm gonna be thinking about that all night.
there's a little Tanner thinker for you. Gonna make that a running
Email
segment.
in. When have you used the, used
Now it's
the
just gonna
word
be
bulbous?
like tomato soup bulbous.
I gotta.
Like
He's got
at the
another.
beginning of
man.
every episode, tomato soup bulbous.
Yeah.
Those bulbous T-shirts are gonna
Yeah.
go flying off the shelves by the time we're
You're just gonna-
done with this thing.
Actually, I might bump it up to a 4.5 because like I said, it has everything that I really like. Plus, kind of those floral notes. It's not something floral isn't anything that I really like crave in a nose, but I do kind of like enjoy it if it's there. So I'm gonna give it a 4.5. Palate, I think I'm gonna have to. It kills me, but I think I'm gonna have to give it a 3. Just because there were some good flavors there, but overall it was just kind of an experience. I'm gonna give the finish a 1.
Wow.
Yeah.
I agree, dude.
I mean,
I mean,
but I'm so torn about this because like I've had this before and I've loved it.
Really?
And not that it got a straight fives for me or anything, but it is definitely going to rank higher than what I'm giving it right now.
Sure.
Well, tonight it's not.
Yeah.
It's not performing.
I mean, it is and again, as far as price goes, based, I think solely on this experience, I would probably give it a 2. So that puts me up to.
I think that's even lower.
Is that 11.5?
What did you say again? Sorry.
I said I had 4.5,
2,
4.5, 3,
7.5,
2, and 1.
10.5.
10.5.
Yeah.
It's tearing me up inside. I mean, that really is just killing me because I've had really great experiences with this bourbon before. I don't know. I'm gonna lock in.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's
lock
how
in
I
at
feel.
10.5 just because like that's what I'm giving it tonight. But I'm gonna say that we need to come back to this.
Okay.
Yeah, because
sometime.
it pains me because I'm like, I didn't want to give it that low of a score,
Yeah.
but and I gave it the highest of all of
Of the
us.
three of us, yeah.
Yeah.
Granted, I went first, and like maybe that had some of, and I wanted to be like sort of
Positive.
positive.
I would have.
on a
I mean, I
positive
would have
note.
gone with what I said, regardless
Yeah.
of
I was
when
ready to
went.
dunk from the jump.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm sad that it went this way,
Yeah, I am
and I
too.
hope the next time we try it that it's a lot better.
I really do hope that it is, but until then, this is easily the lowest score we've ever given
Yeah.
anything. Granted, if we ever did like KG or KT, I'm sure that it would be.
Oh, that was literally
Threes and 4s
that would-
as their final score.
their final score. Yeah,
absolutely.
There's nothing great.
So to quickly recap, Kurt ranked Old Forester 1920 at 12.5. Tanner gave it a 10, and I gave it a 10.5. And remember, these are all out of 20. So a little bit disappointed, but you know
Yeah.
what? That's just the way the news goes.
True.
That's where my mind went too when you said way. And that's the
So we're going to wrap that up, and you know what it's time for? Our newly famous segment. Our new famous segment, recommendations.
yeah.
Yeah. I got a good one for this time.
Oh,
All
do
right,
you?
he's
Yeah.
ready. Okay.
Well, are we going to make him wait, or are we going to let him
go
go ahead
ahead.
and go
Yeah,
for
you
it?
can
All
do
right.
it.
No, let him
All
go.
right, all right. So the other day I was scrolling through Netflix,
Okay.
and I'm just looking, what's new, what's
I love
just
this as a story.
yeah, what's just been added, and I came upon Jim and Andy.
Yes, I've seen the trailer for this. Is it out?
Oh, it's out.
I didn't know it was out already. All right, I'm gonna go home and watch it.
And
It's awesome.
Tanner's
no
night
jokes.
set.
It
okay.
looks really cool.
Okay.
And so it's Jim and Andy. It's Jim Carrey, being Andy.
Oh,
Kaufman.
being Andy Kaufman.
Yes. And I honestly had no back history, or I had no backstory on anything. I didn't know anything about it. I just saw it and I played it.
So you've never seen Men on the Moon, or?
Yeah, never seen Man on the Moon. I didn't know who Andy Kaufman was.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So that might be a different perspective. But so I start watching it, and 30 minutes into it, 10 minutes into it, I'm like, Jim Carrey is crazy.
Oh, no, he's
just-
insane.
He is insane.
He has lost his mind.
Yes. And then 30 minutes into it, I'm still going, why am I still watching this? And then 2 hours into it, I'm like, wow, that was pretty good.
An emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, it really was. Very good documentary. It is showing the behind the scenes of Jim Carrey being fully in character and being a method actor of Andy Kaufman and Tony Clifton, which was the character that Andy Kaufman made, created.
Right. Yeah.
And it's crazy to see, because you're like, Jim Carrey's insane. And when Jim Carrey's talking about it, I don't want to give away too much. He truly believes that Andy Kaufman became him.
Yeah, that's in the trailer.
You can't see,
Yeah.
but I'm rolling my eyes right now.
Yeah.
I love it.
He truly believes it.
Hard
that
eye roll.
He wasn't Jim Carrey. And throughout the documentary, they're like, they really are. Jim Carrey does not act like Jim Carrey's even there.
So what are you recommending this based on? Like, just so people could actually experience the insanity that is Jim Carrey?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
That is exactly.
So it's not
I'm
that it's
so into
necessarily a good documentary. It's just kind of like, go see Jim Carrey be an idiot.
Yes. Yeah, it wasn't even that. Yeah, it wasn't like it's amazing, it's good, like great. I thought it was really good, solely based on the fact of it's telling you this bizarre, weird story that you've never heard before.
Right.
I have a question. Does it mention Andy Kaufman's feud with Jerry the King Lawler at any point?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Awesome. Cool.
Oh,
That's all I needed to know.
Multiple
Tanner's
times.
That's like
way hooked
that's
now.
like legendary in the world of wrestling.
Tanner's
Andy
way
Kaufman
hooked
feud is
now.
the king. Yeah, cool.
And it's hilarious.
Awesome. Cool.
Okay, great. So
So definitely you should watch it.
If
you have
emphatic,
if you have time, you should watch
recommendation.
it.
yeah.
It's just not even that it like don't come out of it like don't go into it thinking, "Oh, this is going to be great." Just go into it with no knowledge and you're going to be like,
Yeah.
"This is the weirdest thing I have ever seen."
Perfect. I love that recommendation.
Okay.
Tanner.
Okay, so last time we did this feature, you recommended a couple of podcasts.
I did. Yes.
I'm going to piggyback off of that and recommend a couple of podcasts. I'm grouping them together because they're by the same. What are you?
Just go. Just
I'm
go.
grouping them together because they're by the same brothers. They're by the McElroy brothers, who are three brothers in West Virginia. They are pretty much idiots.
Okay.
Not dumb, but they act idiotic.
Okay.
Their comedy podcast is called My Brother and Me. It's described as an advice show for the modern era.
My brother Daryl and the other brother Daryl.
Yeah. Wow, what a reference!
Right?
Yeah, that was a deep cut.
I've been thinking a lot about what's his name recently for whatever reason. Like
Weird.
it hits Christmas and I start thinking about shoot, what's his name? Bob Newhart. There
Thank
we
you,
go.
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
For some reason, I couldn't get Jim Burns' name out of my head. Anyway, you said Christmas. So they have a comedy podcast where people write in to give them advice, but they kind of preface the show by saying, "This is advice that should never be followed. There's no degrees here. This is just dumb." It's basically, "Hey, give us talking points."
Sure.
And the best ones are when one of them, who was recently named a Forbes 30 under 30 media
Oh, cool.
luminary,
Yeah.
Griffin, when he gets Yahoo Answers questions because they're amazing.
Oh, okay.
And so that is one of their shows. Their other show is called The Adventure Zone, which is a D&D podcast they do with their dad.
Interesting.
And it's you start it from the beginning. What are you giggling about?
I went straight to Archer. Danger Zone.
Oh, why? Oh, Adventure Zone. Gotcha.
Adventures.
So you start from the first episode. You don't like listen to the most recent. You start from the first. It's like a series. I cried multiple times at different points.
From laughter, I'm assuming.
No.
Oh,
Really?
It gets legit, dude. It is like one of the best stories I've heard in anything. It ran the
That's
first
bold.
the first arc that they're calling it, the balance arc, ran for 69 episodes because they laugh about it a lot. And it has like think of it almost as like a television series that has many seasons. So it has seasons that take different places in each part. But you can kind of, like the lines between them and their character blurs a lot. I knew nothing about D&D
Interesting.
going in, by the way.
Yeah.
I had never played it, never really even watched it. I'd watched Harmon Quest, but that was literally the only thing I knew about D&D. And so I was recommended that by a friend who recommended a Mim to me, my brother and me. And so it is literally one of my favorite stories of all time. It's amazing. You should
Very
give it a
cool.
listen. Yeah.
very cool.
And to just name it again.
The Adventure Zone.
Did you say you had another recommendation, Kurt? Or
I do, but
okay, save it. You're gonna save it for another.
Oh, that's what you were whispering about that you had two.
yeah.
Gotcha.
yeah,
Gotcha.
I am gonna recommend another podcast. Actually, Do Go On.
Okay.
It's a podcast out of Australia. Most of what I listen to is Australian podcasts.
Really?
Oddly enough, yeah.
Interesting.
Do Go On. What they do is they every week have a topic that one of the hosts reports on. It's also a comedy podcast. It's three people. It's hysterical. It's also super informative. I definitely recommend it. They're only like 100 or so episodes in. But it's real easy listening. I mean, it's not like you're, straining to.
Sure.
You don't have to take notes to comprehend
Right.
everything. I recommend brushing your teeth every day,
Thanks.
at
Barry.
least once.
And don't eat yellow snow.
Don't eat yellow
Hopefully-
snow, and we're gonna
yeah.
cap it off at "Don't eat yellow snow."
Have you heard the song "Yellow Snow" by Frank Zappa?
No.
No, but I know what I'm doing on my way home. Though.
It's hilarious. It's literally like, "Don't eat the yellow snow." It's a
Thanks, Frank.
hilarious song.
All right.
Sounds like a Zappa.
Well, guys, that about wraps it up. Where can everybody find you all on social media?
Curtis?
Curtis can't remember again.
Instagram, KurtCon15, and Twitter, Kurt_Con15.
Cool.
I'm easy like Sunday morning. At Tanner B. Cheney everywhere.
Just to be clear, his handle is
It's not easy like Sunday
Sunday
morning. I
morning.
realized as I was saying
Yeah.
it wasn't cool and
Yeah.
it just sounded like my handle. No, at Tanner B. Cheney on Twitter and Instagram.
And to be clear, my Instagram is KurtCon.
Not KurtCon15.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you mess it up again?
Yeah.
Every
Somebody-
week, that's our new recurring.
There's a
joke
guy.
is
There's
that-
a guy with KurtCon15 who's like, "Who are all these new followers? Why are they all bourbon
Hence why,
related?
yeah, hence why I'm not getting any new
I'm
followers.
14. I don't even drink bourbon."
I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at PRitter1492. If you want to hit up the show, find us at My Bourbon Shop on Instagram and Twitter. You can email us. This is My Bourbon Shop at gmail.com. If you want to use the hashtag This Is My Bourbon Podcast to send us some questions, feel free to do that. We'd be happy to hear from you. Leave us a rate and review on iTunes or Google Play or whatever you're listening to us on. Tell your friends about it. We're just getting started out. I've been thinking about starting up like a Patreon or something too.
Oh, cool.
To do some maybe video the show,
nice.
and have that just be a Patreon exclusive or,
Video's
or
really fun.
something like that. So if you're interested in doing that for some kind of paid content, let us know. You can find the shirts. There's a podcast shirt up now too on the Threadless
cool.
store, bourbonshop.threadless.com. It's just the logo on the shirt, but it's like, I may as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've also got a free shipping special running on the Threadless store until December 15th. If you want to get somebody that you love or yourself some bourbon-themed apparel, feel free to do that. We would love to, have your patronage.
We love to clothe you.
We do. Don't run around.
Let us put fabric on you.
Don't run around naked.
Yeah. Wear clothes. Dang it.
Anyway, thank you all so. Is that your other recommendation? Wear clothes.
Yeah.
Wear clothes.
That's just how I'm going to sign off every episode now. Wear clothes, dang it.
And now, pregnant pause. I can't. Okay.
So thank you all so much for listening. We really appreciate it. We
Kind of ruins the joke if you say pregnant pause.
I know.
These guys will be back with us in just a couple of weeks. Again, thank you all so much for listening. And until then, I'm Perry,
I'm Curtis.
I'm Tanner.
and this is My Bourbon Podcast.